Hello, beautiful human. I am so excited because Demi Lovato is finally on our show. Please leave your honest feedback in the comment section below. Hit like and subscribe. That's the only way we're going to keep going. So please subscribe and turn on the notifications. Okay, Demi Lovato, let's go.
Let's do this. Zach Show.
Hello, beautiful human. My name is Zach. We got Dan here, and we welcome, really in the most official capacity you've ever done the show is this right here, Demi Lovato, kind of on our couch. An honor.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Do you ever get used to releasing an album after releasing so many over the years?
I feel like I'm not as nervous as like I used to be. I used to get really nervous. But I think now it's just about getting the music out there, and that's what I'm excited about. So I'm not nervous anymore, but I feel equally as excited.
What do you think has changed? Like, is it the fact that you have more control over your music today than you've ever had before, that you can tell your story in ways that you maybe haven't been able to through lyrics? Like, but as I think back to all of your songs, like, you've had some incredible records. Like, I mean, some really meaningful songs throughout your history. So
thank you.
What makes this era different than the ones before?
I've obviously been through a lot over the past few years, things that I've never been through before. So, talking about that on the album is important. And so that's new. But I just felt like I've never known myself as well as I do today. So I feel like being able to really like put my music out in front of the world and say, this is who I am. I've never been able to do that before. Like, I've never had my finger on my pulse of me as an artist as well as I do today.
Do you only have a good grip on who you are as an artist because you have a better grip on who you are as a person?
Yes, absolutely.
Are the two the same, right? Like, your art imitates your life. Is that correct? And it's very relevant and obvious in the album.
I think that it goes both ways. I think that life can imitate art and art can imitate life. It just is like, sometimes I get inspired by a lyric or a topic that I don't really relate to in the moment, and then my life applies to it 6 months later. It kind of goes hand in hand, but it just depends.
What's been the hardest part about starting over?
The hardest thing about starting over is that when you are in my position, you don't really get to start over until the next round of interviews or whatever. Like, I'm the thing is like, I have started over, but I'm still talking about all of these subjects that, I wrote about or I talked about in the documentary. And so I think once everything comes out, then I'll feel like I can move on. So I'm excited for that. Yeah.
It's really interesting because you have been in the process of starting over, but you're now sharing it. So it's not, you haven't reached the final part yet, but is music a part of that healing? Is music, this album in specific, a part of that process? Definitely.
I think that my album has been so cathartic and therapeutic for my journey. I've done a lot of going in and looking at what lessons I could learn and from everything that I've been through.
Why do you choose a documentary in addition to music as a method to share your story? Because if anybody with ears listens to one of your records a couple times, you really, I mean this with the most respect, like, I feel like you really get to know you from listening to your music. Like, your story exists in the lyrics and in the production and in all layers of the songs you have on this body of work. But why was a documentary necessary?
Because it's not like I can put in a song the medical repercussions of what had happened. Talking about how I ended up where I did was really important to me. I didn't want to only release an album because there's so much more of my story to be told, that I can't just do it in 19 songs on an album, So I wanted that extra outlet to be able to elaborate more, but I also didn't want to just give my story away in an interview, to a magazine or even a TV sit down or whatever. I wanted to be able to really share it. And I wanted everyone to know that the story was coming from the most direct source that it possibly could. It wasn't coming from a magazine publication that asked me questions, but different answers get in the article. I had a little more control over this, but in a still in a very liberating and empowering way.
Full control of the edit, full control of your story as it is your story, and that's the way it should be. And I mean, you have to feel like you have full control over this music, right? Like, do you feel like you're in the trenches more on the music than you've ever been?
I mean, I've always had control over my music. It's not that I never had control over my music. Even when I was with Disney Channel, a common misconception is that I didn't have a say in what I sang. I always did. Otherwise, I just think that maybe I was misdirected at times. And, that's pretty common for someone that doesn't really know who they are as a person to be misdirected as an artist. So
let's talk about the Ariana Grande record, Met Him Last Night. What is it like bringing this song in particular to life? And I mean, even cutting those vocals in the studio. What is the energy like before you come in and when you start writing these lyrics?
So I didn't actually write that song. That song was written by Ariana, and she brought it to me and was super excited to play it for me. And when I heard it, I fell in love with it, and I knew I wanted to record it. And I even said, like, hey, you should stick on this track. Like, you should stay on it. You sound amazing. She was like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, totally. Like, we wanted to sing together for forever. So it's pretty awesome to be able to have this story where not just another female pop star, but someone who is a really good friend of mine has collaborated on this album and helped me share my story in a way that is super meaningful to me. And I'll never forget this.
Incredible record. Another collaboration on this album is Easy featuring Noah Cyrus. Mm-hmm. How does that song start? How does it come to be?
So actually that song came about with the producer. His name is Matthew Coma, and he's so talented, so dope. I expressed that I was like, I just think you're so talented. And he was like, we should work together. And I was like, absolutely. And it kind of just snowballed from there. He sent me this song, Easy. And the second I heard it, I was like, wow, Noah would sound incredible on it. I was like, I just hear her voice for some reason. So yeah, we ended up recording it together, and it's another collaboration that I'm really, really excited about.
Beautiful song, and something really special about the two of your voices combined on that record. I mean, it's
thank you.
I couldn't stop listening to it. Another really creative song is My Girlfriends Are My Boyfriends. So, like, Chef's Kiss. I kept thinking to myself, like, why did it take so long for a song like this to exist? Because it's like, it is so true. It's so good. It's so good. Can you tell me the story behind it?
Yeah. Girlfriends Are My Boyfriend. That song was brought to me by Oak, my producer. We've done a lot of songs together, including Sorry Not Sorry and I Love Me. And so I knew that I wanted to work with him again. And he sent this song, and I obviously fell in love with it and got Sweetie on it. So that's pretty exciting too. What
story are you telling top to bottom with this album? Is it your story or is it something else?
Yeah, it's my story. From the first song to the last song on the album. It kind of takes you in an order of like, this is how this issue led into this revelation, and this revelation led into this lesson that I had to learn. And
But
it's just
literally,
connecting the dots.
do you write scattered and then organize, or do you write in order and then it, like, do you know what I'm saying?
No, it definitely, I didn't write in order. I like came to the studio with concepts and ideas, and then over time I just knocked one out. And then once I had about 30 songs, I went through the track listing with management and decided that we thought it would be a good idea to do it chronologically.
Hey, beautiful human, I gotta hit pause real quick to talk to people out there who drive a vehicle that requires gas. If you want to get paid cash for filling up your car with gas, Get Upside is for you. This is no joke. Get Upside is a free app that if you download it, will allow you to get 25 cents back per gallon of gas that you buy. It's pretty wild. And nearly 3 million people have earned cash back with Get Upside just for buying gas. I'm really not joking. If you get the free Upside app that's available on like the app stores, on Google or your iPhone, you'll get 25 cents back for every gallon of gas you get. That's 25 cents cash money right back into your pocket. So why wouldn't you download the free Get Upside app right now? It's in the App Store, Google Play. You'll save up to 25 cents when you buy gas. And if you use the promo code SANG, you're going to get not only 25 cents per gallon, but you're going to get a 25 cents bonus on your first gallon. So you're technically going to get 50 cents back. So why not? Get Upside, use the promo code SANG, and yeah, you'll not just get 25 cents back, you'll get 50 cents back for your first gallon of gas that you get using Get Upside. Oh, and you can cash out at any time via PayPal, or you can get gift cards for Amazon or other brands. It's really that easy. So why would you not get Upside? It is a free app that will give you 25 cents back for every gallon of gas you get. They work with all the major gas retailers. This is legit. Money is waiting for you. Get Upside. It's available in the App Store or Google Play. And if you use the promo code SANG, you'll get a 25 cent bonus on your first fill up. Get Upside. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. Are you going into the studio after these events are happening to you, or do you have to wait for the event to simmer down, digest it, and then go?
Every scenario is different. You know, if somebody dies, I probably don't go into the studio right away. Probably wait a day or so. But you know, Mad World was a song on the album that I recorded actually the day of the insurrection. And I had shown one of my producers, Mitch, the original song by Gary Jules. And I loved that song so much that I told him I wanted to cover it. And he had just like, we were recording this song called Butterfly the day of the insurrection. And then on a break, he was like, oh, I want to play you this track that I made to Mad World. I think you'll really like it. So he played it. And I was like, there's literally people still at the Capitol. We have to record this today. And because our minds were just blown about what was going on. And so I recorded that. The day of the insurrection, there were still people there. And that's kind of a piece of history on my album, you know, is pretty cool, because I can always hear that song and think, wow, when I recorded this, there were actually people still at the Capitol.
History was being made, but a strangely fitting song for that moment, like almost like freaky and spooky kind of.
Right. You know, I think that's why I had the urge to cover that song. Was because so much weird stuff had happened, and the world, you know, it hit the fan in 2020. And I kept thinking, like, I was listening to some of my favorite songs of all time with some of my closest friends one night, and we're just sitting there listening to music, and we played that song, and I remember thinking, like, can't believe nobody has covered this yet after everything that's happened this year. But I love covering songs, so I was like, I'll do it. And he made the track, and then I did.
You know, sometimes there's moments in history where a new song just doesn't capture the moment in a way a timeless record just happens to, you know?
Yes, totally.
And the truth is, like, for all we know, there's a record on this album that we're talking about right now that years later will apply to something that never had that intention.
Yeah, totally. Maybe there's a giant swarm of butterflies that takes over LA and New York, and then all of a sudden, Butterfly becomes a hit song. 15 years ago.
That would be a real blessing. I mean, unless hordes of butterflies are a bad thing, I guess they could be. You know, too much of anything is a bad thing, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
I don't know. I'm a butterfly fiend, so I love butterflies.
Have they been in your life forever, or do you remember a moment when they like had a real impact?
I think for some reason I loved monarch butterflies as a kid. Growing up in Texas, the big, beautiful orange ones, they always migrated through Texas. So I always, around springtime, I'd be like, or whenever they were migrating, I'd be like, oh my gosh, the monarchs are back. And so I always like loved them, but I didn't really understand why. And then last year on Father's Day, in my documentary, I talk about my dad's death and how impactful it was on my life. And I also talk about why every Father's Day is really difficult for me, because the details surrounding his death were very heavy and emotional. And last year on Father's Day, I went outside. I'd also just lost my grandfather. And I saw two butterflies just like flying in the backyard at my family's place. And something I just knew that it was, I knew that it was them, you know? And so, and they were orange. I don't remember if they were monarch butterflies, but it was a profound moment, and it was very healing for me. I think seeing my dad there, in butterfly form, you know, it was just like, he was finally as graceful as he was always meant to be, but could never be because of his demons.
That gives me goosebumps. And that's a healing moment. That's for him too.
Totally.
I want to shift gears here to a song that 15 minutes. Why is this song vital? I like. Did you clack seashells together at a certain point in the record? There's like this production that happens, and it sounded like two seashells hitting each other. It was very much beachy.
I wouldn't put it past my producers to have pulled some like really awesome personal like that, because there was even like an interview that I had earlier where they were talking about like the juxtaposition between referencing the devil and having church organs in my song. And I was like, I didn't even really totally realize that on Met 'Em last night. So I have to go back and listen to it. But yeah, it was just, I have the team that created this album with me is so incredible and so talented that like, I wouldn't put it past them to have actually added seashells like in the track. They think ahead like that. And look, all I'll say is that there's always reasons for seasons in your life. Yeah. And there's always lessons to be learned. And in order to learn those lessons, we have to sometimes encounter new teachers who, you know, are put in our lives for the reason of that season, and we learn our lesson and we move on. And if it happens to, if a hit song comes out of it, great. If it doesn't, great. I still learned my lesson.
Well, that's it. You've learned, and what do you learn from that season? What do you take away that you carry with you?
I think that I had a certain idea of what stability looked like to myself and to the rest of the world. And I think that stability actually for me looks like being independent and in a healthy relationship with myself. You know, that's what that season taught me, is that just because we are taught by society that we should end up in a marriage or in a relationship or whatever, like, I'm actually living with one of my best friends now, and we're having the best time, like better than any time that I've ever lived with a partner, because it's just like, and I think that's what I want my life to look like, at least for the next couple of years, is like living with my friends and having a blast and not feeling pressured to deal with relationship drama because I'm at a certain age.
Yeah,
you know,
because society tells you to, because society has put a time limit on it. And not only have they put a time limit on it, they put like they put a mold of who you should be with and the type of person you should be. All this horse hockey bull squash. But we've fallen victim to it. I mean, me myself,
totally. Look, even we fall victim to it because of shows like The Bachelor, you know, like things like that we seem that are seemingly harmless are actually just shoving those gender and sexuality norms and ideals on us. And it's like, I just don't really feel like subscribing to what other people think my life should be anymore. And so I'm not. And I just do what makes me happy. And if that's sitting outside feeding my squirrels for an hour, then I do that.
You deserve that.
Thank you. I think so too.
By the way, this is a part of starting over, right? This is a whole new outlook. This is a new life perspective, because this is not like tiny changes. It's about a bunch of tiny changes that equal to one big change.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing it in the album. That's pretty amazing. And also, thank you for just sharing your true self, because even coming out as pansexual, you have brought great awareness and great education to what it means to be pansexual. Because I think a lot of people, it's like, you're either straight, you're either gay, you're either bi, or if you're pan, no way, you're bi. Like,
you like pans? Like, I'm so sick of that one. I'm so sick of that one.
People don't get it, but they don't get it until they have to get it, or are forced to just be aware of it by living everyday life, right?
Yeah.
So
I think the best way to describe my sexuality is in my song, The Kind of Lover I Am. You know, it's like that song to me fully encompasses exactly what the title says. It's the kind of lover that I am. And if anyone ever has questions regarding my sexuality, I'm literally just going to like point them to that song and be like, if you have questions, just listen to it.
I may start doing the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta write a song.
In one of the lyrics is like, you literally say like, it's anybody, not anybody, like boy, girl, like you mention genders and it's literally anybody. That's a song, right?
There's an ad lib in the song that says, or you could be anything in between.
Yeah.
And that was like, it was so important for me to ad lib that lyric, because even though it's not repeated throughout the entire song, it's like, it's cool. It's like, I've never had a lyric that fully encompasses my sexuality like that. But the closest I ever came was Cool for the Summer. And in that, I was still like closeted and not out yet. So for me to like really own my sexuality, it's just the beginning of much more free and happy life.
Do you believe it starts there? because there's a debate that always happens is like, you can't live this free and happy life until you accept who you truly are and your sexuality, and you scream it from the mountaintops. You can't achieve this peace without
There's
it.
a difference in accepting and knowing, right? Yeah. I don't know what my sexuality is going to be 10 years from now. I know what it is today, and I can like say I accept what it is today, right? Yes. I think the difference between knowing and accepting is two different things. As long as you set out to always be able to accept yourself for who you are, like it doesn't matter what sexuality you'll identify with in 10 years or 10 days from now. Like that might change, but if you can accept yourself for whatever sexuality you are today, like I think that's it might not be the I think it's helpful. Yeah. I don't see how it can be possible to live a free and happier life if you don't accept yourself. But I'm not, who's to say I'm not wrong? Like people may have done that in the past. I just know for me personally, I've had to accept myself fully before I ever
share.
Before I ever felt like fulfilled and happy.
I very much understand that. By the way, the link to the album is in the description below. You must listen. Phenomenal body of work. Really, 19 songs. What do you learn from the creation of this thing?
I don't know, because like I've learned so much. I don't know where to begin. Like what I learned that I don't ever want to force myself into a certain genre of music. This album has so many different genres on it. And when somebody says, oh, what can we expect from this album? Which is like the most redundant question. It's like music. I don't know. Like this sounds different track to track, hopefully. No,
but it's still like you. That's what you want, right?
Me, and that's all I know how to explain to people. It's like in the past my answer would have been, oh, it's a little more R&B, it's a little more this or this. It's like, no, it's just what you can expect from the album is me best like identifying with myself as an artist, more so than I ever have in my life before, and to just keep working, to keep writing, to never stop, because who knows, this might not be the only music project I release this year.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Is there a song of yours that you want to live forever? Like when we're gone and our kids are still around, what song of Demi Lovato's should they hear on the radio or whatever, the music cloud or something, whatever it'll be then?
I think that The Kind of Lover I Am is extremely important, but also California Sober is extremely important, because that song represents an alternate path to the recovery that I've been taught the past 10 years of dealing with this stuff. So it just is like, it's not saying that this works for everybody, but it's saying that there's that other solution isn't a one size fits all solution, and there's options. And it's just about like identifying what works best for you and going forward with that.
In the documentary, and you have opened up about how you've had a vision, you've had a complication with your vision. Will that affect touring in the future? Or how you perform live?
I hope not. I haven't, originally when I first started playing piano and guitar again, it affected my vision a lot because I couldn't see where I was putting my fingers. But any real piano player knows you're not supposed to look at your hands anyways. So it's just like helped me become a better player, I guess.
Wow, okay.
Because it's like, and I'm really, really hoping that we have like a safe, like clumsy free stage. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't need any surprises. I don't need stairs. I think we'll manage. I think it'll be okay. But yeah, I might not be like dancing in high heels anymore. But I don't want to do that anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I rather just hear you sing. Your voice is magnificent, and it's enough of a show, and there's no need for. I mean, if you want to do other effects, like go for it. But like your voice is, yeah, more than enough and incredibly captivating. And Demi Lovato, I say thank you for giving us time and energy.
So
and,
good to see you.
yeah, it really was a pleasure. And this is the most legitimate you've done the show. And hopefully the next time it's in person and on our couch.
It has to be in person next time.
We'd love that very much. Thank you for your time, Demi.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Later.
Hey, beautiful human, thanks for watching our full interview, but I get it. Like, a full interview is a lot. So we got a clips channel. We don't expect you to watch the full thing anymore, so we just gave you the highlights. Please subscribe and notifications and all that stuff. Okay, cool. I love you.